What is up, everyone? I'm coming on here for a couple of plays for Super Bowl Sunday, guys, between the Seahawks and the Patriots. Now, I have 7 player props in today's video for you guys, my favorite player props of the weekend of obviously the Super Bowl. And then I have one straight bet for you guys. It is a Super Bowl MVP bet. So it's either he obviously gets the MVP or he does not get the MVP, and it's a little bit of a long shot. So if you're in the mood for a little bit of a long shot, I think it's a really, really good long shot for Super Bowl MVP. Not the longest shot ever, but I think it makes a lot of sense. Now, what you see on the screen here is what we did last Super Bowl. Last Super Bowl was obviously the Chiefs and the Eagles, and we had pretty much everything across the board swept. Every call that I made was correct. Now, am I going to guarantee that that's going to happen again? Who knows? You know, I made the right calls last year. I was very confident in the calls. Everything hit. Is that going to happen again this year? Who's going to know, right? Everything is going to be up to, obviously, the betting gods and if I make the right calls again. But I did a lot of research again this year. I'm confident in the plays. I'm confident on who's going to win, which, by the way, I think is going to be the Seahawks. I think the overs are going to hit, so I think it's going to be a little bit more of an offensive game. And, yeah, that is what I'm confident in. And pretty much last year, I thought that the Eagles were going to win. I thought it was going to be the Eagles were going to get ahead earlier. I thought they're going to run the ball like crazy with Saquon Barkley, which is pretty much what they were doing all year. So it really wasn't that crazy to think about that. The Eagles, you know what they did last year. They ran the ball with Saquon like crazy. Anyway, guys, we hit about 7 four-man entries back to back on Super Bowl Sunday, which had never been done before. It still has never been done. It's very hard to do something like this unless you have a ton of plays ready to go set up for one particular day. We have hit 7 or 8 entries before on a Saturday and Sunday or a Friday, Saturday, Sunday. But just think about in one game between like 6 p.m. and 9 p.m., your Prizepicks account just gets flooded with 7 different four-man entries hitting for you. Okay, it was a crazy day. It really was. So yeah, again, Super Bowl, very near and dear to my heart, very near and dear to this channel. And again, all of America is watching for the Super Bowl, so who does not love that? Now, I will say the last 9 picks on this video, we have gone 7-2 on these videos right here. You'll see my past couple of videos here. And yeah, we've been doing good on this channel. VIP, not so much. As you guys know, I track everything. So the first 25 days, we did very, very well, got up to like 70 units, and then we've had a little bit of a downturn in the past maybe 10 days, and we are up about 30 units so far in 2026. We're into about 35, 36 days in the year, so it's still very, very early on, and going up 34 units is still decent, right? It's still decent. And then this is all my straight bets. And I had a little bit of a question about this in one of my comments. This is all my straight bets. So this is what you're going to see on ONYX odds and on REBET. So I'm just going to put like STR as my straight bets right here. And pretty much what that means is it's not really that many player props. It's more of like over-unders, money lines, spreads, more of that traditional sports betting that you would see maybe on like Vegas or something like that. And then these are all my player props. So this is with Prizepicks and Chalkboard. This is literally tracking Prizepicks and Chalkboard. That is it. Okay. I normally put out like maybe one chalkboard play a day. So majority of these 260 plays are going to be Prizepicks plays, obviously. Probably 240 of these are Prizepicks plays. And again, we are up from this. So if you add this number and this number, we are up about 50 units on the year. If you take all my straight bets, all of my Prizepicks plays, okay? So again, that might not seem like that's accurate because the last couple of days, the last week has been bad, but we had a really good start to the year, right? So if you were here with me the entire year so far, which has been, again, 35 days, you'd be up quite a lot of money so far, which is great. So let's go ahead and get into the first play of the day, right? I don't want to talk too much in today's video. I really want to get into these picks. I know you guys are busy. I know it's a busy weekend going into the Super Bowl. Maybe you guys are getting together with your family or your friends or whatever it is. But first pick of the day. Now this is kind of confusing because there's a lot on the screen here, and I apologize about that. But it is JSN Super Bowl MVP, you guys. My favorite pick for the Super Bowl. Actually, one of my favorite picks. I really like Seahawks money line, and I like the over for the over-under, which when I took it, it was at 35.5, but I really like JSN Super Bowl MVP. Now, you can take this on ONYX, but unfortunately, ONYX was limiting me to only taking this to about $5, and I wanted to get more money on this, and I probably will double down on this entry right here, but I was able to get it down actually on Sleeper out of all apps, but Sleeper kind of has this like weird pick thing that they are doing now. It's kind of cool, and I was able to bet JSN Super Bowl MVP. You're pretty much getting 6 extra money for this, all right? It is plus 500 odds on pretty pretty much all the sports books, and I would take it at 500 odds, no matter where you can get it. And you're pretty much 6x your money. So you put 10 bucks on it, you get 60. You put 100 bucks on it, you get 600. My favorite bet of the day, you can get this on ONYX, you can get this on Sleeper. I recommend taking this on Sleeper. Using my code, you'll get 2 free months of the VIP with that. But the reason why I really like this Super Bowl MVP for JSN is let's go ahead and look at all of the Super Bowl MVPs over the past couple of years. Now, you're going to see a ton of quarterbacks, okay? And that's the obvious thing right there. If you want a safer bet, I would take Sam Darnold over, and actually Sam Darnold to win the MVP, because if the Seahawks win, it's likely that Sam Darnold's going to actually get the Super Bowl MVP because he's the winning quarterback of that team. But what I like is that JSN is a massive part of this offense, guys, a massive part of this offense. And if you look, you could also argue that Kenneth Walker is a big part of this offense recently. Now, you do not see that many running backs at all. If you look at all this, you have to go all the way back to Terrell Davis to look and get a running back Super Bowl MVP. So I think it's very unlikely that the running back gets a Super Bowl MVP. This was the 90s. This was Terrell Davis getting 3 touchdowns for 30 carries. That is very unlikely. That does not really happen in today's football. And then if you look, you're going to see a ton of quarterbacks and a ton of receivers, okay? If we look at the receivers, we have Cooper Kupp, 8 catches, 92 yards, 2 touchdowns, all right? Julian Edelman, 10 catches, 141 yards, okay? You have, what do you have here? Santonio Holmes, 9 catches, 131 yards, 1 touchdown, right? Hines Ward, 5 catches, 123 yards, 1 touchdown. Now, with that being said, guys, does that not look like JSN's stat line pretty much every single game that he plays when he has a good game? When JSN has a good game, you're going to see him getting 9 catches, 130 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 touchdowns. If he gets 130 for a touchdown, which again, it's unlikely that he does that because that's hard to do in a Super Bowl against a good defense. But if he does do that, that could be 1 80-yard bomb that he catches. He gets 80 yards from that. He gets a touchdown from that. That would make him very, very reasonably in the running for a Super Bowl MVP. And I just think the odds are way too high for him when he definitely could get a very long pass to him. He could get an 80-yard touchdown catch, and that's going to really boost his stats up. And again, all these guys like Kupp, like Edelman, I mean, they're really not putting up crazy numbers. It's not like they're putting up 200 plus yards. So it's in the realm of possibility. I also think a lot of the passes that Sam Darnold throws obviously goes to JSN. So if Sam Darnold throws for 300 yards, JSN gets like, let's just say 180 of those, then JSN is probably going to win it over Sam Darnold, all right? So that's my long shot. Hopefully you guys like that pick. I really like that pick, honestly. But that is going to be my play. I put that in on Sleeper and then a little bit on ONYX. Really, I could not get that much down on ONYX for some reason. Now let's get to the rest of my player props, all right? So the first pick is obviously going to be Drake May to take 1 passing yard. I just want that as a reminder. Go ahead and take that. That's going to be, your free pick on Prizepicks. And with that being said, there's going to be a lot of discounts over this weekend, all right? So look on all the apps you have, Sleeper, Chalkboard, Better, Underdog Fantasy. All of these apps are going to be having a ton of discounts because obviously the game of the year and everyone, they want as many people betting as possible on their apps during these massive games. So my first pick, probably my favorite pick, is going to be Mac Hollins to go under 27.5 receiving yards, guys. This offense is a very, very spread out offense. And I'm going to actually talk about this when I get to Hunter Henry, who I'm about to get to here in a second. But the Seahawks are much better at defending the receivers than they are as defending the tight ends, okay? So they're very good against receivers. They are not so good at defending tight ends, which is why you're going to see me take Hunter Henry over here in a couple of minutes. But Mac Hollins, in a very crowded receiver room, I think is going to go under. I think they're really going to rely, if they do pass the ball, on players like Hunter Henry, on Boutte, on Diggs. And Mac Hollins going to take a little bit of a back seat. Now, I do think he might have 1 long catch where you're like the Mac Hollins, random 22-yard, grab on the sideline or something. But I think that's pretty much all he's going to be held to in this game. And that is going to be my first pick of the day. So kind of a weird one, obviously targeting Mac Hollins. But, sometimes you got to bet the weird ones, guys. The next pick of the day, so my second pick of the day, is going to be Rashid Shaheed under 3 receiving targets, all right? Another one I really like. You'll see the past 5 games, a lot of these, this is pretty much most of the time that he's been with the Seahawks. I can actually show you all of the games that he's been with the Seahawks, right? So team Seahawks as New Orleans, he got this pretty much every game. So he is a much bigger part of the New Orleans offense than the Seahawks offense. In the Seahawks offense, guys, he has gone under this pretty much every game other than this game, and this game right here, okay? This game, one of these games, I think JSN was injured for the second half or something, so it kind of didn't count because he ended up playing a much bigger role in that game. Hopefully JSN does not get injured. You know, we just bet on him for the Super Bowl MVP. But with Rashid Shaheed through the playoffs, you know, he's been kind of a gadget guy. They'll give him some random passes. They'll give him some random screens, some runs. He's big on the punt return and kick return, but he's just not one of those guys they consistently go to play after play, and every single play matters in the Super Bowl, guys. In the Super Bowl, on a very talented offense like the Seahawks, you got to give it to your best playmakers like JSN and like Kenneth Walker, okay? So I'm going to take Rashid Shaheed under receiving targets at 3. Really like that pick. I already kind of talked about this one, but we have Hunter Henry, and we're going to take him over 3.5 receptions, all right? I think Hunter Henry's going to feast in this game. It's a really good matchup for tight ends and not a really good matchup for receivers, which means tight ends should feast. Receivers maybe shouldn't feast as much. And again, I'm going to take Hunter Henry to go over. I also imagine that the Patriots are going to be throwing the ball a lot more in this game because I do think that they're going to be playing from behind, okay? I've said that multiple times over the past couple of weeks here. So this is going to be the third pick there. And then the fourth pick is going to be Ramondre Stevenson. And we are going to take him under, this is kind of a weird one here, guys, if I can find it. We're going to take him under 3.7 yards per carry. Okay, 3.7 yards per carry. Now, this is a line that is typically not available on Prizepicks because, you know, normally the Super Bowl is not happening. So they have a ton of additional like random plays that you can take. And I really like this one. If you look at the rushing defenses of all of the NFL, Seahawks rank number 1 rushing defense in by yards per carry, all right, guys? So one thing, I think Ramondre Stevenson is not going to have many rushes, and 2, I think he is going to get stuffed on the line of scrimmage quite a lot, okay, because they have a very, very good defensive line, and again, I think getting 3.7 yards per carry as Ramondre Stevenson is going to be quite tough in the Super Bowl when these guys are going to absolutely come to play, okay? So I think this is too high for him. I would be surprised if he averages, you know, 4 plus yards per carry. There might be a possibility that he gets like 3.8 or 3.9 and we barely lose this, but I think it's going to be unlikely about that. Now, this is another one that I really like right here, and I'll explain why I like this one, is Jason Myers to go over 2.5 PATs made, all right? So another way to think about this, guys, is it's pretty much the Seahawks scoring 3 touchdowns. Now, there's always the possibility they score a third touchdown, they go for 2 or something in a weird situation, but most of the time, if you score a touchdown, what's going to follow it? It's going to follow with a PAT made, okay? So this is pretty much, do you think the Seahawks are going to score 3 touchdowns or do you not? Now, let's see what Prizepicks thinks about this, okay? Let's see what Prizepicks thinks about this. Now, if we look at Kenneth Walker, he is a green goblin right now to score a touchdown, okay? He'll probably run in a touchdown. I think his rushing touchdowns is actually also a green goblin, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe it's not even on the board, okay? But Kenneth Walker to run in a touchdown, to receive a touchdown is at 0.5. And then if we look at Sam Darnold passing touchdowns, guys, it is at 1.5 right now, okay? If I can scroll down and find this. Let's see what I can see here. There it is right here. So Sam Darnold over 1.5 passing touchdowns, okay, is the line that it's at. So if Sam Darnold can get to 2 passing touchdowns and then Kenneth Walker can run in 1 touchdown, which by the way, it's a green goblin right now for Kenneth to get a touchdown, then that would be 3 touchdowns for the Seahawks. That would mean 3 PATs for them. Now that's not even considering all the other possibilities, all right? You could have a Rashid Shaheed punt return, kick return for a touchdown. You could have a defensive touchdown for the Seahawks. You could have some backup running back for the Seahawks. I think it's George Halani or something to score a touchdown. You could have someone like Rashid Shaheed even running it in or doing some wildcat formation with some random player that they might have, or AJ Barner doing a tush push, or Sam Darnold running it in. Like, you could have all of these other possibilities happen. For that, I think that the Seahawks are going to go ahead and score 3 touchdowns. And I think that even Vegas, Prizepicks, whatever you want to say, does think that the Seahawks are going to go ahead and do that as well. All right. So my last pick here, guys, it feels crazy because really this is my last pick of potentially on this channel of this football season. And it's crazy to think about that because just the other day, I remember the start of the season being really excited for it. This season was definitely not as good as 2024, but 2025, ultimately we went up 250 units this year. In 2025. I'm happy about that. I'm always happy that we can go up a lot of units in a year. Again, it's a big season. It was a great season. A lot of things learned, a lot of memories, and let's go ahead and finish this year off strong. Let's finish this season off strong with this Super Bowl, guys. And my last play of the day, guys, I've talked about him a little bit here. Kenneth Walker, I'm going to take him over fantasy score if I can find it. All right, I did that kind of speech there, but Kenneth Walker over fantasy score, guys. He honestly might touch the ball 25 times, right? I talked about Terrell Davis being the Super Bowl MVP for the Broncos. And I talked about him having 30 carries. Kenneth Walker might have 25 touches of the ball this game, okay? He might have 20 carries. He might have 5 receptions. And when you have 25 touches of the football and you're as good as Kenneth Walker, you're probably going over 16.5 fantasy score, okay? So I think as long as Kenneth Walker finds the end zone at least once, I think he goes over this, all right? He'll probably have 3 catches, maybe 30 yards with those catches. He'll probably have close to 100 yards running the ball, and then he'll have probably a touchdown on top of that. And all of that would put him at like 20 to 22 fantasy score, okay? So Kenneth Walker is really taking a huge step, and I'm glad because Zach Charbonnet is now out, but I really like Kenneth Walker. I think he really has not had the chances that he deserves, and now he's able to shine on the biggest level, and has shined on the biggest level leading up to this game. So Kenneth Walker over fantasy score, my last pick of the 2026 season on this channel. All right, guys. So just running through them again: Mac Hollins under, Rashid Shaheed under receiving targets, Hunter Henry over receptions, Ramondre Stevenson under rush per carry, Jason Myers over PATs, and then you have Kenneth Walker over fantasy score at 16.5. All right, guys. So lock those in. Again, adding on to that is JSN Super Bowl MVP. Thank you guys so much for an amazing season. Let's continue this year off strong with a good Super Bowl, and then continue this year off strong with esports, with Canadian football coming up in I think April. And then there's going to be a ton of League of Legends, a ton of Valorant, a ton of Counter-Strike every day. NBA playoffs is also coming up in April as well. So a lot to look forward to in the rest of this year. If you look at my massive graph of all of these bets, guys, you'll see here between April, which is right here, if I can make this line straighter, but between April and let's just say September, this was actually a very, very good run for us going into this. And I know it doesn't look that steep, but at the end of the day, this graph is so stretched out that this is probably 150 units or something like that over the summer. If we look at 2024 between May and let's just say September, again, we had another very good stretch. So the summers and the springtime is another very, very great time to bet. And if you are in any one of my Super Bowl passes, right? I had a lot of you guys sign up for passes that's ending Super Bowl 60, the night of Super Bowl 60. Text me because I want to get you in for the rest of the year. I want to get you into lifetime access, whatever it is, guys. Those are the people that you signed up for my Super Bowl 60 passes. You are the type of people that I want in my VIP because you're the people that are going to make money long term. You're going to stick with me through the ins and the outs, the ups and the downs. And again, let's crush it this Super Bowl. Let's crush it the rest of the year. I appreciate you guys, and I'll see you in tomorrow's video.